Imagine you're an inmate in a prison and you want to send a message or video call your family and friends, so they hand you this. This tablet has no descriptive markings, no standard charge port, and only one button on the back. The more you look, the more janky it gets. There's 4 irregular brass rectangles on top that one could assume connects to a charging station of some kind. There's also a headphone jack recessed into the case, which has been enlarged with a drill bit, or maybe even a prison-made shiv. You've got to make those headphones fit somehow. This custom-built bright red tablet isn't like anything available on the market. That's because it was made by a small business that builds tech infrastructure for prisons. Deployed throughout many prisons in the United States, these tablets are available to hire by inmates. An inmate pays $5 for 24 hours of access to a tablet, which can gain them access to prison-approved apps or a website link. This case appears to have been 3D printed, but contains no screws, no seams, and nowhere to pry, so there's no discernible way to take it apart. The question is, can we power it up? What's on it, and can we open it to see the hardware inside? The first point of call is getting it powered. With no USB-C or micro USB port, we're going to have to make our own cable. But we must know what the pins are before we just haphazardly connect wires. There wasn't any power coming from the pins, so I relied on resistance alone. I connected some test leads to a 5-volt source, and sure enough, it's drawing power, but only 250 milliamps. It's possible the data lines also need to be connected for it to charge properly. So I tinned the pads and soldered a USB lead to them. I still don't know what way the data lines are supposed to connect, but with the way I've installed them, there isn't any difference in current draw. So I swapped them around, and to my surprise, it's now drawing half an amp. Again, I left it to charge for a few hours before pressing the power button on the back. And it powers up to a battery flat screen, despite being on the charger. What I do get to see at this stage is the splash screen, which has an iView and Intel Inside logo, which gives us a bit of an insight of what this tablet might be. I noticed a slight bulge to the back case of the tablet, so the battery may have expanded. I think the only way we're going to get this tablet to boot is opening it up. I'll start by cutting in this recess with an X-Acto knife. Because this is a 3D printed model, I'm thinking I should be able to separate the layers. I also tried heating the blade, which made it cut a bit faster, but it was clear this was going to take hours. So I'll have to bring out the big guns. But first, I'll need to mark where we need to cut. It's critical I cut above the display because obviously we don't want to cut into the tablet and damage it. About 3mm down should cut away the plastic frame and leave the tablet intact below. Then with a hacksaw I could begin cutting. The blade I started with was quite worn, but after a trip to the hardware store, I bought a new one with large teeth to prevent the plastic from clogging up the blade. Then it was just a lot of careful cutting. By cutting it open with a hacksaw, I should be able to glue it back together, if I wish so it will retain its original case. A lot of the prison devices I've seen online are assembled with screws and are just transparent to prevent anything from being stashed inside. This tablet was certainly designed to never come apart, so it could not be tampered with by prisoners. My guess is that the housing is 3D printed. The printer would pause at the correct spot for the tablet and other associated components to be installed before resuming, therefore sealing it inside the plastic. Once the face of the housing has been cut off, it can be removed to reveal the foam layer below. We've succeeded in removing it without cutting into the tablet. Now we just have to free the tablet. After vacuuming up the plastic mess, we can now try and recover the tablet. I'll proceed by peeling away the foam layer from the front of the tablet. What I wasn't expecting to see was a Windows logo. This isn't an Android tablet, it's a Windows tablet. But who made it, and what are the specs? Once I'd removed the majority of foam around the perimeter, I could begin flexing the plastic housing to allow a plastic spudger to be worked in behind the screen. While I thought the tough part was over, this was just the beginning. The backside of the tablet is also adhered to the case, but working around the edges, it would slowly lift up. I was surprised to see there was no back cover on this tablet, it's purely the internals. There's also a cable attaching the power button to the motherboard, which we need to work around. Sliding the tablet down, it can disconnect from the charging board running to those 4 external pads. But I was shocked to touch some sticky oil-like substance. I believe to be dielectric grease. What on earth is it doing in here, I don't know. Separating the last of the foam holding the tablet together, it can be folded open. I wanted to disconnect the power button so the housing could be removed, but it's stuck. I tried pulling on the wires, but they just pulled out of the connector, leaving the connector in place. What shouldn't be a surprise by now is that it was superglued in place. It's repairable, so I'm not worried. Still, there's more foam over the motherboard, along with dielectric grease and epoxy over the PCB. Even the thermal pad is attached with epoxy surrounding it. The battery connector has found itself buried in foam also, which makes me wonder if the foam was in some kind of liquid form when applied. Otherwise, how did it get under the connector and cables? Even once we've opened the device, we still can't disconnect any cables because of the epoxy that sealed the motherboard in place. Maybe there was some concern of condensation from being in a foam case, so the grease and epoxy was there to prevent any moisture that formed from damaging the internals. Or maybe it's just an aggressive anti-reverse engineer tactic. They've also managed to put a thermal pad over the headphone jack, though I'm not sure what that is supposed to achieve. But there's a hidden HDMI port and SD card slot, both inaccessible once assembled. I couldn't remove any more foam without the risk of ripping components off the board, so this is as much of the motherboard as we're going to see. As for what's left in the housing, the charging board, which breaks out the micro USB connector, and it's covered in plenty of grease, along with the power button and its wiring, which is melted into the housing. But with the tablet out of the case, we gained access to the micro USB port on the device. Connected directly, this time it draws almost an amp. I don't know why it wouldn't charge previously, but now the tablet is taking a proper charge. This may have been a contributing factor to why this device ended up in e-waste. Maybe that special charge board is damaged. Using some tweezers to short the power button, we can now get it to boot up properly. Sure enough, it's running Windows 10. It automatically enters a password for the user account named kiosk before displaying a blank screen for a few moments, before eventually the Prison app launches. There's no desktop or taskbar displayed or any obvious way to exit. It displays some system diagnostics before loading into a web browser. But there's no URL bar or any way to search for whatever you like. It just errors out because it can't connect with a URL. After a short time, a timeout is triggered, saying to inform an officer there's no connection to the server. Clicking OK causes the device to restart. However, without a charger attached, this alert changes to no Wi-Fi connection, move closer to the charger. This gives us some insight into how the device was set up. The charging station was also hosting the Wi-Fi network. The website that it's trying to connect to is on the open web. Navigating to it, we can see what this tablet displayed and what it was used for. The website allows an inmate to send money, email, video call, and access gift packages, or at least access some of these functions. This site is also what the family member or friend would be using to communicate with the inmate, which explains why it's on the open web. Clicking any of the options presented to you comes up with a form to look up a prisoner, given you know their name, state, and facility. Clicking the gift packs button redirects you to the dark web. I'm kidding, of course, it takes you to the same lookup page. But even with an internet connection, there isn't a lot you can access on this tablet. But let's see if we can change that. With access to the micro USB port, I can add an OTG adapter to allow a keyboard and mouse to be connected. Then it's just the case of finding an escape to the jail software. A jailbreak, if you like. Alt F4, Alt Tab, nothing. But the good old Control Alt Delete did the trick. Trying to launch Task Manager, nothing appeared, But you may have noticed when it booted up, the Windows login screen briefly showed the presence of other user accounts. So let's log off and try to access the admin or update accounts and see what else is on here. But we've hit an issue. They're locked with a passcode. And so's the kiosk account we were just logged into. So we're stuck at the login screen. What I do know is the kiosk account password is 5 characters long. I know this because it's displayed when the device boots up. It just doesn't tell me what it is. So let's try some passwords. Could it be as simple as the word kiosk? No, unfortunately not. It also wasn't 12345. Rebooting the tablet, it will automatically boot back into the kiosk account. To gain access to the other accounts, I need a way to reset the password. I'll hold down the Shift key while selecting Restart in the Ctrl-Alt-Delete menu. From here we have a few options. The first I tried was changing some of the startup options. All this did was change the screen orientation to portrait, which angered the Jail app. Then I tried booting into the EFI shell. This should allow us to boot into a different drive, exploiting the device from there. With a Windows 10 USB drive connected, you can see it in the shell. With a few commands, we can select the drive, its boot folder, and run bootx64.efi. The tablet then proceeds to boot into the Windows 10 installer. Except after patiently waiting, it fails and returns to the lockdown OS. Instead of launching to the installer from the shell, I found you could do it within the Windows diagnostic screen. From here, we can install a fresh copy of Windows to return full functionality. But I'm sure you're not watching to see a fresh Windows install. Let's see what's in that admin account. Selecting Repair Your Computer from this menu, I can navigate to the advanced options to start a system image recovery. But instead of proceeding as intended, I'll click through to install a driver. This menu gives me access to the file system in RAM. But navigating to the C drive, we can see all the files of the internal SSD, as they cheaped out with Windows 10 Home, which contains no disk encryption, allowing us to modify the name of 2 system files. We're going to rename CMD to Utilman, the name of the accessibility app. When we reboot back into the lockdown OS, we can access the Ctrl-Alt-Delete menu again, and this time click on the accessibility icon. But instead of launching the accessibility panel, it launches CMD. Opening the Windows User Password Manager, we can just reset the password for the admin account. Closing CMD, we can now log out of Kiosk and into Kiosk Admin using our newly created password. They epoxied the PCB, sealed the tablet in plastic and foam, but they didn't enable disk encryption? What a rookie mistake. We can now see the specs of the tablet. A 1.44 GHz Intel Atom with 2 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage. Windows 10 Home was installed in 2018 and appears to have never been updated. Of course, there's no personal information on this device, as it was only allowed to access one web page, which handled data. So the admin account contains the software for controlling the kiosk mode we were in earlier. Looking into the kiosk lock bash file, we can see everything it blocks using registry entries and the Windows policy control. Almost everything is blocked. Interestingly, they've even blocked the accessibility menu, both here and in a script named Secure. Despite this, our CMD workaround was not stopped, as it hid the button on the lock screen, but not in the Ctrl-Alt-Delete menu. There was an app for testing the microphone which failed to open, however displayed a GitHub link which is for a web browser automation software called Solarium. The full setup for the kiosk app is also still present, so you could remove or install it on something else. The auto login PowerShell script contains the password for the admin account we were trying to reset earlier, which I won't show here as there may be hundreds of these devices still in use. There is also a config file to allow keyboard input and other settings while in kiosk mode. Other than that, the only other piece of software is ConnectWise Control, a remote connection software likely used by the company deploying these to remote into, access the admin account, and make changes or update the kiosk. Selling your old phone or experiencing a hardware issue? Test your device with iTest, my device testing software available for iOS and Android. iTest allows for the testing of many hardware components, including the speaker and microphones, cameras, touchscreen, and along with more obscure hardware like the compass and gyroscope. The Android version can even detect spoof hardware info common on no-name devices. I've just updated iTest to support iOS 9 through 26 while maintaining Android 6 or later compatibility. So if you need to test your device, test it with iTest. But with that, I think we've discovered all we can about this Prison tablet. So this is it, an iView Optimus Prison Spec tablet. Despite the third-party outfitters' attempts to prevent reverse engineering or access to the device through embedding the tablet into a plastic case with no way to open, and even going as far as to epoxy the cables and motherboard, preventing board-level inspection, they cheaped out with a copy of Windows 10 Home which contains no drive encryption, like that of the Pro version, allowing us to jailbreak it and gain access to the restricted admin account. A prisoner is unlikely to be able to attempt what we've done here today, so one might say the outfitter has succeeded in locking it down. I've never seen such a crazy device. I've intentionally removed any reference to the company deploying these, any passwords, and the website it connects to prevent misuse. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and check out the Teardown playlist for more videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.